This region around the Great Lakes has been called the heartland. When it comes to agriculture, there's hardly an area in the world that compares.
Everybody, just hold on. I don't know what we're going to have here.
There's a lot of self-proclaimed geniuses out there that know the national yield, but they're all wrong.
Manage money, piling in.
Double digits higher.
So at this point, we're in kind of uncharted territory.
There's a lot of money on the sidelines.
So that was a crazy one.
That's what brings the viewers back. That a boy.
Good morning, everybody. It's Thursday, October 9th, and this is the AgYield War Room. I'm Dan Dempsey, and I'll be moderating today's session. As always, if you got any questions or comments, please feel free to drop us a line in the chat area, and be sure to get to it during the show. Overnight markets here had December corn down a half at 421.5. November soybeans were down 5 3/4 at 1023 3/4, and December Chicago wheat was up 4 at 511 1/4. We still got a government shutdown, so we still have no export sales announcements, no weekly sales, and no announcements either. We are through 6 of 23 settlements for the harvest price discovery period for crop insurance. Corn is currently sitting at 420, and soybeans are at 1020.5. What we know here this morning as we start off, obviously no report. We're supposed to have a USDA report here today. Not going to get that. We are on day 9 of the government shutdown. Rhetoric seems to be heating up on both sides. Boy, I hope they can get some sort of a resolution voted on and get this thing opened up so that this doesn't continue to drag on. We certainly need the information in our markets. There's a lot of things hanging in the peril here. And last but certainly not least, feels like we've got a peace deal with Hamas and Israel, which is huge geopolitically. So that's nice. I know devil's in the details and they're still working things out, but by all accounts, everything looks to be aiming for Monday's return of hostages and a drawback of IDF. So great news on the global front there. I guess with that, Dustin, as it pertains to our markets, certainly not going to get a USDA report today. No export sales. Kind of sucks. You're just kind of sitting here, listening to anecdotal reports on yields, and that's kind of about all you got right now.
Yeah, not a whole lot of guidance. Maybe it's a reminder that we rely so much on the USDA. Maybe that's not a good thing either, too. There's not really a private market solution when they've provided all this information, But if we look at some of the weird things that are happening, like soybean spreads are, last 2 days are a big one. So this is the difference between November beans and March 26. And so you see in this is a daily charts. The last 2 days, the market spiked up above that blue line, which is the 100-day moving average. It's really the highest price since the July 4th weekend. And if you think about what's happened since then, we've had, no Chinese purchases. We've had this low river level that's crept up. And this fear that we're just going to continue to see the 800 million bushels that China bought last year. If that's at zero, what's the rest of the world going to be able to come in and replace that with for imports from the U.S.? A lot of people pretty bearish bean demand because of the lack of Chinese buying and the low river levels. So 2 weeks ago, this exact spread was trading 36 3/4 carry. Now we're getting into that 28, 27 number, and there's not a lot of fresh news. Why? Because we don't have any updated sales. Maybe someone is buying a bunch of beans at the moment, or someone got caught short the spread. Something's going on that like to know in the end what's exactly causing this. It may just be a blip on the radar, or it could be a really positive sign. Like if China is starting to buy and we just don't know it until the government reopens, that would be something. So just something to kind of note when we're looking at the bean spike recently and the highest price we've had in a couple weeks. It's also coming at a pretty good sign in narrowing spreads.
Oh, very good. Ben, what's on your mind and how are things cooking out in the East?
We were out of the field a couple days from rains in quite a few places. but back at it today. Generally, there's some really good spots in Ohio, and I think the most of it is average to below average. And Indiana plugging along, decent crops. I don't think it's records. And, just a very uninteresting market right now. And, I'm interested to see how corn holds up into typically on Friday. We see a pretty good round of selling late as people pre-hedge the weekend. We've seen buyers on breaks in corn, both markets. The narrative and the information that we have got has been pretty negative going back for 4 or 5 months. And I think we had 4 reports in a row where they, the last one they raised carry out. We've seen big acreage increases in corn. And here we sit about 30 cents off the lows. The bean narrative, it gets louder every day with farmers struggling with $10 beans, no beans to China, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. And here beans sit, 30 cents off their recent lows. So I just, maybe we baked enough into this for now, but I don't think there's a lot information wise to drive this market one way or the other right now. There's 32,000 open options in the 10-20 line. And I think for the next, next couple of weeks, we don't stray too far from there in soybeans.
Very good. Jace, anything this morning? What's on your mind? I mean, this is a kind of a crazy market with no USDA report. Kind of sucks. We look forward to these days generally.
Yeah, grain markets are boring. I mean, you look at the stock market, you look at gold, silver, Bitcoin, cocoa, coffee, any commodity, anything, everything's kind of, I think we're just all jealous of some of these other markets because nobody cares right now in the grain markets, and for good reason, right? I mean, seems like we got good demand, good supply, or, for corn anyway, and lack of supply and lack of demand for beans, and no direction of where to go. So just not a lot of interest in our markets right now. I think there's a lot of stories out forward that you can kind of say, man, some of these things develop, we could have some really interesting markets. It's just not right now, Dan, I think I like to put positions on here and there for my own account. And, right now I'm flat. I've been kind of friendly corn, good demand. Since last first notice day, it kind of had its rally, and we've kind of stalled out, like we've talked about, right during crop insurance price discovery that like I said, we've been talking about for weeks. So it'll be interesting to see how we trade, especially corn, how corn trades through this month, and then how it kind of reacts going into first notice day at the end of November. If I had a crystal ball, I've been telling customers this, if I had a crystal ball, I'd say that we stall out here and then we see a lot of pressure going into first notice day. And then maybe that's an opportunity to buy. But, if you're a farmer, right, and your position is really long, I mean, I'd be really concerned about that, right? I mean, the fact that I'm flat, I think kind of gives my opinion of how you should be, right? It should be kind of flat or covered anyway going into, the end of the year. So
sure. And Northwest Illinois back home, corn yields still pretty good.
Yeah, Northern Illinois obviously not as good as last year, which was a record. I think we've seen all over the map, Dan, right? I mean, guys that are getting really good yield. Some guys caught some good rains in August. Some guys missed it. It seemed to be that factor of, did you catch a few good rains and time the rains in August to really get you over that hill and have some good bean yields and some decent corn yields. Kind of, I'd say average, maybe slightly above average in the Eastern Belt. And then seems like, further north and west you go, talking to guys, they're seeing kind of record stuff. So
I think it's pretty incredible how fast it's drying down too. I mean, these guys are rocking and rolling. It's insane.
Yeah, honestly, this rain system that came through was a blessing for a lot of guys, right? A lot of guys, quit cutting beans. The moisture was too low, and they said, I'm not going to do it. I'm not going to pick 6, 7, 8% moisture. So I think a lot of guys after this rain are getting back at it, and it's gonna, yeah, we're gonna fly right through it. So
It's good. Quick harvest keeps people happy. You know, get them done. Get field work done. Obviously, it's good for the following year too. You know, get field work done and get all that kind of stuff taken
yeah,
care
right
of.
in time for the holidays. I don't know if a lot of farmers want that. They usually have an excuse, right?
Yeah, we're trying to go out and help them all. We're like,
yeah,
"Ah,
leave
you
a
guys need
couple
hand?"
fields. Yeah, leave a couple fields out there, so you got an excuse.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
No, very good. We got a couple minutes here, right? Another solid day in cattle, fats and feeders, but kind of the opposite sentiment in the hogs. So, what are your thoughts here this morning?
Right. Well, new all-time record highs in feeders. Just can't keep the market down whatsoever. So we really kind of improved the sentiment, I think, going into the tail end of the week. Still waiting to see a lot of cash trade pick up here. So far, we've really only seen about steady trade from last week in the north. So, you know, with beef market kind of stabilizing, kind of getting through some of the more vulnerable seasonal time frames, I think there's just overall just a lot more optimism. And feeders are the leaders at this point. So I think there's going to be a lot hinging on if prices can just keep on going up here, you know, between now and the end of the year. So we'll see. But obviously the trend is still really strong, and there's just really been nothing to cause a major deterrent here as far as price appreciation. So on the hog side of things, yeah, another bout of weakness here. It does kind of seem like, you know, there's a lot of concerns about cash going forward and bellies as well. But if we start seeing stability maybe in other protein markets, maybe that does bleed into the hogs a little bit. But on the other hand, we did close December below the 50-day moving average. We are starting to see open interest still decrease here. So I think there's still a lot of downside risk here in the interim. Especially if we start to see some kind of massive liquidation from the managed money who were, you know, at one point holding record long positions, but now with the government shutdown, you know, kind of flying blind on that, just kind of using open interest volumes to kind of give us indications of what they're doing. But overall, you know, we did see carcass down another $2 yesterday at 103.82 and bellies down 12 cents. So yeah, just overall, the trend is still pretty soft here and still a lot more downside risk, I think, than one would expect.
Very good. Appreciate the update there. A couple things to note. Tomorrow's Friday. That's everybody's favorite time of the week. We'll be back with Brian's Fun Fact Friday, so be sure to tune in. You never know what you're going to get as it pertains to Fun Fact Friday. We appreciate everybody that tunes in on a daily basis. If you wouldn't mind, throw us a like and certainly subscribe. Doesn't cost you anything to do so, and it'll keep you up to speed on everything that's going on with AgYield. So again, thanks to everybody that supports the show. We're doing this live every day that the markets are open on X, Facebook Live, and YouTube Live, 8:15 Central Time. Appreciate the thoughts and comments here this morning, guys. It was a good show. One thing to note for anybody that looks at their calendar, there will not be a USDA report today. So with the government shutdown, we will not get those numbers. So I just wanted to point that out. Other than that, I hope everybody has a great day, and we look forward to talking to you again tomorrow.
The War Room is proudly presented by AgYield. For over 50 years, the AgYield team has provided grain marketing and risk management solutions for growers across the country. Our veteran consultants harness cutting-edge technologies to pinpoint risk, optimize market performance, and protect your farm's profitability. Discover a new approach to farm revenue management at agyield.com.
Hey guys, Jack here. Be sure to support the show by hitting the like button, leaving us a comment, and subscribing to the channel for all the latest updates. Thanks for watching. We'll see you next time.